Congressman Casar, thanks so much for being with us here. You are joining us as we speak here in this interview in Austin. And so you, as well as all other Texans, have been under this latest conservation alert from ERCOT, the state's electric grid operator. They've been blaming high temperatures and declining wind and solar generation. Some folks in renewables take that very personally. They've been on social media saying it looks like a big power plant must have tripped offline as well. Isn't this much bigger than the blame game as to what is responsible and the political and economic battle between renewable and non-renewable?
This is a much bigger issue because Texas's grid is the only major grid in the country that is not interconnected with the national grids. And folks ask what that means. And essentially what it means is that when we're struggling and don't have enough power to meet demand, we're not able to pull in electricity from other states. So when we need help, we can't get help. And when other states need help, we can't sell them power. And that just doesn't make any sense. We are now drafting up a bill to finally require Texas to interconnect with the national grids. That way, when power demand is up because there's extreme heat or extreme cold and supply is down for whatever reason, that we're able to pull in supply from other states. It's just common sense.
Okay, so over the years, Texas has been able to separate itself from the national grid, and it's been very proud of that because then it doesn't have to respond to federal regulations because this is a grid just in the state of Texas. So this is going to ruffle some feathers when you start talking about federal legislation. Can the feds do it? Have you already gamed this out?
The feds absolutely have the authority to provide consumer protections to ensure there's reliability across the grid and to protect the lives of people in the United States. So the Congress has this authority. And I don't think anybody was proud when we had hundreds of people die in Winter Storm Uri and millions of people without power. And I think it's important to note that not all of Texas is disconnected from the national grids. In far west parts of Texas, in El Paso, they're interconnected with the Western grid. In East Texas, in Jasper, they're connected with the national grid. And during that winter storm, Uri, you didn't see mass blackouts in Jasper. You didn't have mass blackouts and power outages in El Paso because they were able to pull in power from their neighbors. This is the United States of America, and we need to support other states and have other states support us. The last thing is not only would we be able to prevent blackouts and save lives by connecting with the national grid, when there isn't a heat wave and there isn't a cold snap, there is a lot of ability for us to generate lots of power in Texas that we sell to other parts of the country. And that would be an economic boon to rural Texans who have lots of space for windmills and solar panels, who want to be able to deploy clean energy to the rest of the country, but can't right now because of a short-sighted and old policy.
Just very quickly before I ask you a question about something else, top leadership in Texas said that the grid was fixed after we went through the 2021 legislative session. They made some more tweaks in this year's legislative session, but yet we keep on seeing these urgent calls for conservation. Has the system been fixed as far as you're concerned, and what are you thinking about that?
I think everybody who's getting the text message like me to turn down your power knows the grid hasn't been fixed. We just got an emergency alert last night, the kind that we haven't seen since the winter storm. And unfortunately, with the climate crisis, things are only going to get hotter in the summers. And so we've got to prepare for this. We have to stop playing the political blame game. We have to stop playing to the biggest corporate interests that want to have a monopoly in this state and do the right thing. Interconnect to the grid. It will save us billions of dollars. It will save us from these kinds of blackouts, and it will actually be good for our economy. That's why I'm drafting up the first bill ever in the Congress to finally require that interconnection.
While we're talking about the grip of these horrible summer temperatures that so many of us have been experiencing, and we're being asked to maybe bump that AC up a few degrees, you're one of the members on the House Oversight Committee who signed a letter asking the chairman to start a federal investigation looking into no AC in prisons across the country, with a specific focus on Texas, where we know that there have been folks over the years, according to studies, as many as 13% of the deaths in Texas in the warmer months in the prisons are attributable to extreme heat days. And yet it's estimated 70% of prisons in this state do not have air conditioning in most of the living areas.
We know that the dollars are there to do the right thing and make sure that we have air conditioning in Texas prisons. Everybody, as we face this extreme heat, needs to be able to be safe and have air conditioning. Right now, for example, the Austin City Council is moving forward on rules to make sure that that's a requirement in everybody's residence. But think about it in a prison. You oftentimes are in a small cell, a concrete block that can get so hot. You can't just walk outside. You can't quickly get in the sun. So people have been reportedly putting their bed sheets into the toilet to be able to wipe themselves off and cool off and survive. And that's just not right. People in prison are getting held accountable for what it is that they have done, but it is unconstitutional and un-American for us to engage in cruel and unusual punishment. And baking in the 110, 115-degree heat in a prison cell is that definition of cruel and unusual punishment. The state of Texas keeps finding money for corporate tax breaks, keeps finding money to benefit their big donors. They've got the money to be able to make sure that our prisons at least have air conditioning.
And we should point out that the guards who work in those prisons have to deal with those conditions as well. Congressman
Right,
Greg
Casar,
that is all the time we have this morning. Thanks so much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.